Hola, hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. This is 7K, and this is Uncensored with 7K. I am a relationship, a life, and a manifestation coach, and I combine the teachings of all three to offer you the best possible experience to bring in the love, the life, and the money that you so much need, want, and desire. So let's get into this topic. It's going to be juicy because I think this is, a topic that many people don't talk about, but is something that is commonly experienced for the dumpy in the beginning and then in the end for the dumper. But we are talking about this thing called obsession. And as a dumpy, when you are left, obviously you are left with all these emotions of powerlessness, feeling helpless, hopeless. You have no control of this person coming back. You're craving for them, you desire for them, you want to fight for them and to show them how much you wish they could come back. Now, some of you just want to move on and acquire new love at some point. But the subject is about obsession and why people become obsessed with their ex / the dumper and the breakup. It's something that manifests itself out of certain behaviors that are imposed on us as humans. And so it's not at all uncommon. In fact, I remember going through the breakup and thinking to myself, am I going to feel this way forever? I did want my ex back, but I didn't want to obsess over him all day. I was exhausted of it, and I was exhausted of thinking about and talking about the breakup all day, every day. It was depleting me, consuming me, deflating me, and I just couldn't function. So if any of you guys are going through this is going to be a really great video because it's going to offer you some techniques that you can do immediately to start working on getting over the obsession of the ex and the breakup. So first, I want to mention to you where obsession comes from. Where is it born? Where does obsession breed itself? And I want you to think of the circumstance that occurred to us here, at least in the United States, because I'm not really sure how everything worked during COVID in other parts of the world. But here in the United States, when everything was shut down, we took certain things for granted that we never thought could be taken from us or that were going to be controlled or rationed out. Simple things like toilet paper, paper towels, meat, chicken and beef and things of that nature. We never wake up saying, oh my goodness, we cannot have access to toilet paper. We never wake up saying, oh my gosh, we're not going to have access to paper towels or limited access, right? Because this is something that's readily and easily available no matter where you live. Convenience store, your local grocery store, the Dollar Tree, etc., etc. So makes it like something that you just don't think about. If you need it, you get up, you go buy it, and you bring it home. During COVID, not so much. Those specifics that were very familiar to us, that we were used to having, were taken from us. They were controlled, they were rationed out, and in many places not even available. And what ended up happening is many people became obsessed with looking for these resources. They would wake up with tons of anxiety, sadness, depression, because the things that we're so used to having that are easily and readily available to us were no longer. And so the human mind is very content with familiarity. We are creatures of habit. And when something is forced or imposed on us that changes that dynamic, we become obsessed with that thing. Scarcity breeds obsession. Something that's not easily accessible breeds obsession. And it also increases this thing's value. So the value of toilet paper didn't feel like anything to us, but during COVID, when it was taken away or it was not as accessible as normal, it became huge in its value, right? We made it grandiose. And so this is where obsession is born. When something is scarce, something is taken from us, and something is not easily accessible. So you think about the diamond, you think about celebrities, just things that seem normal, but because they're not easily accessible or in our control to have it at our disposal, we easily can become obsessed or see it as bigger than what it is. So when your person left you and it took away your power, it made you feel hopeless and helpless, then you become obsessed with that person because you're making them bigger than they are. You are making them grandiose. You've put them on such a high pedestal that they almost become superhuman in your eyes. They become more desirable. They become the remedy to your pain, to your anxiety, to your void, to your loneliness. And while they were in a relationship with us, I'm not saying you took the person for granted, But you may have taken their presence for granted because we were used to having them there. And now that they've taken themselves away from us and we don't have the power to force them to come back, to stay with us, to reconcile, this is something we have to respect and give them the breakup. Makes it very, very tough for us to accept it because our brain is naturally in the state of protecting you and always falling back to what's familiar. So your obsession is because this person has taken your power away. They're no longer easily accessible and you have no control over it. So now they've become scarce to you. And so now we're going to talk about some of the techniques that you can start using effective immediately to help you remedy this obsession. It's going to take some time and you've got to do the work. You've got to be disciplined. But I am telling you by pure testimony that it works. So first things first, guys, if you're not already, obviously go in no contact. And no contact means no texting, no calling, no associating with their friends, mutual friends, family, no stalking social media. For those of you that have children with the ex or the dumper, obviously you're going to talk to them about your children, but the buck stops there. You don't want to bring up the relationship. You don't want them involved or accessible to you. You cut off access, you give them the breakup, and you give them your absence. The sooner that you do that, the sooner you will start feeling relief of your obsession, because then you will start to get accustomed to not having this person that you're familiar with around or in your space. Your brain will start to, or subconsciously start to, learn how to deal with your day-to-day without this person being present. And so that will start to remedy some of that obsession. The second thing that you must start doing effective immediately is you must stop talking about the breakup to anyone and everyone that's willing to listen. Now, hear me out, guys. I am not saying that you shouldn't have a support system that's going to help you through this journey. I absolutely encourage it. But there is a difference between having a support system and talking about this person and the breakup 24 hours a day, because that creates a habit, and a habit can easily breed obsession. Because your brain will become used to this action, this behavior. And when you don't do it, and when you're not talking about it, it's going to want to easily fall back to that behavior. And you're going to become obsessed with talking about that person, thinking about that person. And so this is going to be very difficult for you to remedy this obsession. So you want to be conscious of how much you're talking about this person and the breakup. To your friends, to your family, to your co-workers, to your pastor. What I encourage you to do is to set times for you to have the resources in place where it's appropriate for you to chat and talk and vent about the breakup and this person. Whether it's a coach like myself or someone else, whether it's a therapist, whether you have, a specific person that has offered to be there for you every time you feel overwhelmed and you need to get those emotions out. But you don't want to sit in that 24 hours a day. You want to get away from that habit, and you want to formulate new habits that your subconscious can turn to in lieu of talking, thinking about your ex and the relationship or the breakup. I remember even having like these imaginary arguments with my ex about the things that I wish I could have said, I should have said, and all the things in the relationship that maybe I could have done different, and it was driving me crazy. So I'm going to assume that based on all the people that I've coached and am coaching who feel the same, that a lot of you that are listening to this video probably are going through the same. So with that said, please be more disciplined about how much you're talking about your ex, the dumper, and the breakup. Got to become more self-aware, and you want to replace those conversations with conversations about other things that are just as joyous to you. Because what happens is when we are in a relationship, we lose our identity. Our identity is tied to this person. Our identity becomes tied to this relationship. And so we tend to lose, interest in our social life, our hobbies, our passions, our goals. We're so preoccupied with wanting to satisfy this person and maintain this relationship that oftentimes our identity is lost into them. And so when they walk away, we feel lost. our future plans feel like they're gone permanently. Our footing is gone, and that's because you have lost the sense of you. And so, to talk about it all day, every day, will continue to further push you down into that rabbit hole, where now your identity is going to be tied to a breakup, which will cause even more obsession. So please make sure that when you start talking on the day-to-day basis, become way more self-aware. And when you hear yourself about to talk about this relationship or the breakup or your ex, you want to catch yourself. So one of the cute little things that I actually did is I put a little rubber band on my wrist. And every time I started thinking about this person excessively, when I was giving this person my thoughts or my energy in excess, when I felt that I was about to want to talk about the breakup in excess, I would lightly snap the rubber band and I would connect an affirmation to that little snap. So create an affirmation for yourself that suggests that you are independent, whole and complete, and you are amazing, and you're worthy of love and to be chosen, and that you don't need to give this person your energy 24 hours a day, that you're redirecting your energy back to you and you're taking your power back. The affirmation doesn't have to be that long, guys, but I'm just saying it should have an essence of that emotion for you, so that you can start to connect those emotions to the conversations you want to have, as opposed to talking about the breakup and the dumper, your ex. So find yourself a cute rubber band, and that will be a good start to reminding yourself, oh my God, no, I'm not going to talk about it. Nope. And you snap the rubber band, and eventually subconsciously that rubber band will start to signify, hey, we're not going to talk about that. Hey, we don't need to think about that. So with that said, that's going to bring me into the next technique that you guys are going to want to use. And that is every single night, I want you guys to write down in a journal, in a notebook, or in your device notes, a routine. Because an idle mind is a dangerous mind. And when you're sitting still for too long, it gives you way too much time to think and think and think. And oftentimes when you're going through these tough times and the negative emotions and the pain and the agony of it all, it's going to be very challenging to think about anything but the ex and the breakup. So what you want to do is keep your mind preoccupied, because if your mind is occupied on doing something else, it doesn't have time to focus on the ex. Your thoughts will be redirected to what you're actively doing, and eventually you will enjoy your routine so much that now you're gonna fall to that particular routine or habits as a source of feeling better. Because believe it or not, even if the obsession is to something negative, your brain feels better because it's what it's used to doing. You want yourself to subconsciously become used to doing something else that feels good to you, that's not talking about him, her, or that breakup. So in the evening, write your routine down for the next day. In the morning, what is that going to look like? Maybe you meditate in the morning, a little bit of yoga. You eat your breakfast. Maybe on the way to work or to your job or your business or your office, you play something funny in the car or some positive videos. Play my videos, right? Maybe you have a really great conversation with a friend. Maybe you have a prayer partner. What are you going to do after work? Maybe you're going to work on redecorating one room per month in your home, or cleaning out your closets, maybe going to the gym. Guys, all I'm saying is an idle mind is a dangerous mind. And the sooner that you can start reconnecting back to the things that you love and enjoy doing, your social life, reconnecting with family and friends, creating a routine for yourself that takes away the energy, brings the energy back into you, refocusing on you and engaging in things that keeps you busy, so that by the time it's all said and done, you're exhausted, you're ready to go to sleep, and now you've gone through an entire day where you have focused on the things that mean something to you, or maybe you and your children. Who knows? But at the end of the day, having a daily routine that you are disciplined with and sticking to will help remedy and start to dissipate this obsession. And in the process, you begin to look better, feel better, change your behavior, and this will help you become a way better version of the person that you were when your person left you behind. This is exactly the person that you want to become and turn into. Because imagine if tomorrow your ex reached out and said, I want you back. and it's been weeks, if not months, and you haven't done anything to work on you. You're just sitting around obsessing about him or her. And the first question they ask is, hey, what have you been doing all this time? And your answer is obsessing over you. What do you think that person is going to do and think of you upon their return? So it is very important that you take your power back and create a routine that's going to serve you in a positive way day after day. And it's going to take time. Sometimes it could be very challenging, maybe even exhausting, but push through, and eventually your body will crave it, your brain will crave it, and you will have a routine that will transform you and how you look at your ex and how you actually are processing the breakup. Now, I told you guys that the techniques are something you can apply immediately. So here is the very last nugget, and I did this and it helped me dramatically. I want you guys to take a moment and write down every single thing that you disliked, that totally annoyed you, that was just irky about your ex or the dumper. Write as many things as you can. Now, I want you to write them down, and I want you to read them every single night out loud to yourself. And the reason this is so important is because when a person leaves you, subconsciously, this person will appear to be more valuable than you, more attractive than you, more successful than you. You'll start to create these crazy thoughts that as soon as they step out of their home, everybody wants them. They're living their best life because this is how they're going to make it appear to you. And again, please remember that when a person leaves you feeling hopeless and without power, then that is exactly how you're going to see them, the total opposite. You're going to see them with all the power. You're going to see them as the only person that can remedy how you feel. And you're going to see them almost like a celebrity. You've got to bring them off this pedestal and bring them back to being just a regular old human being. Because the sooner that they look normal to you, then the sooner you can start obsessing over them. These are regular folks. And these folks sometimes wake up with poor hygiene. Sometimes their breath stinks. Sometimes they look a hot mess. Sometimes they just eat and the way they eat annoys you. Sometimes their financial situation was unstable. Who knows, guys, what it was that may have bothered you. But at the end of the day, you've got to take the magnifying glass off of how amazing you think that they are. And you've got to let yourself know, you know what? This is just a normal human being that I'm idolizing, that I'm fantasizing over, that I'm obsessing over for absolutely no reason, because they are just as human as me. And while all of us are amazing and one of a kind, we are still human beings with a beating heart, just like everyone else. So the sooner you can bring them off the pedestal and you start to read all the things that just annoyed you about them, then you will start to see them under a different limelight. I remember after my breakup asking a few of my friends, of my last 3 relationships, who do you think was the most attractive? And I was just 100% sure that it was my ex. Now, guys, prior to the gentleman I was with, was a widow. And the gentleman that I experienced a heartbreak with was the first person that I got in a relationship after my late husband passed away. Prior to my late husband, I had 1 relationship as a teenager. So I've only had 3 real relationships in my whole life. And unfortunately, as many of us, we experience breakups. So I gave my hand a shot at a relationship after my late husband passed, and unfortunately experienced my very first heartbreak at age 40. And I just thought that my ex was the most gorgeous, fine man on the planet. And that every time he stepped out of his house, every woman on the planet was just dripping and melting all over him. Because this is how I imagined him after he actually walked away and ended the relationship. In my mind, he was traveling the world. He was just so sought after. His life felt so perfect to me. I felt like such a failure, so unwanted, so unchosen, so deceived. And in asking my friends what they thought of him, not one of my friends thought he was the most attractive at all. And in fact, I started to see him for who he really was. It later was very clear to me how much issues my ex truly, really had. He was going through all sorts of financial issues. He was extremely irresponsible in many places in his life. And while he had all these amazing qualities, he had all these horrible qualities that I was too blind to see, because when he walked away from me, eventually what your brain does is it causes you to only highlight the most amazing parts of them, because you crave for them back, because you are obsessing with them, because you don't have the power to just automatically bring them back. And so I remember going through this, and once I started applying these techniques, little by little, the obsession went away, because I realized he was just a regular man that I loved and I was attracted to, but I didn't have to be obsessed with him or the breakup. So I started giving myself the power back. I started rechanneling my energy towards me. And I started rebranding and rebuilding my life in a way that made sense for me, that was productive. And sooner than later, the obsession completely went away. In fact, the things that I was craving, every time I truly missed him and I cried about him and I started feeling empty without him, my body and my brain was craving the gym, meditation, taking a walk, hanging out with my friends, being with my daughter. Those were the things that I started craving, as opposed to just thinking and talking about him. And last but not least, guys, alcohol and drugs really will make everything worse. So if you are turning to those substances or abusing those substances just to mask and help you with the pain, which I totally understand, I can honestly tell you I had one too many glasses of wine during the breakup. It does make it worse. And if you feel that you don't have control, or you're becoming, addicted to those substances or alcohol or drinking or using drugs in excess, I do recommend that you seek out local help or resources in your city or town, because it truly does make it worse, and it will cause, physical damage and emotional damage. So there's not a human being on planet Earth worth you causing yourself that type of destruction. So guys, I hope that this video really helped. And if you have any other techniques, guys, that you have been using to curb obsession during the breakup, please post them in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys are doing. I don't know it all, but I know enough to help you. And a lot of times I'm learning through you guys as well. So post them in the comments and see what you guys are doing, or let me know how these techniques are working for you. Coaching is available. So for details on coaching, feel free to email me at SEYVNTAROT@gmail. That's Seyvntarot@gmail.com. I will post it in the description below. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, so more people that are going through the same experiences can benefit from this free content. If money is tight and you cannot afford coaching, by all means, watch my videos as much as you need, because that is why I post them. So remember, guys, you have the power, and on to the next video.